Good morning, viewers, and welcome to another edition of Build Well with LASBCA. This is a program that has been put together by the Public Affairs Unit of the Lagos State Building Control Agency to engage you, our dear viewers, on the activities of the agency. My name is Adetayo Akitoye Asagba, and it's my pleasure to host this program today. In our last edition, we focused on the dangers of distress structures. We talked about how to identify them and what to do in case we come across any. Well, since then, the Lagos State Building Control Agency has been able to identify and capture a total number of 349 buildings that are suspected and already showing signs of distress. Now, those 349 structures captured have also been published in 2 national dailies as well as the LASBCA alerts. Also on the program, Benny will be right there on the streets of Lagos, sampling the opinions of Lagosians on the activities of LASBCA and how they can better improve on their services. Also, look out for our Directors Corner, where one of our supervising directors will be chatting with us on the activities of the agency within his own locality and how he has been able to manage the situation. We have this and more on the program for today. So sit back, relax, and stay tuned. We will be right back.
When buildings collapse, lives are threatened. While some lose their lives, others may be maimed. Chaos erupts. Properties and valuables are lost. What an agony. But Lagosians, when will this stop? This menace of building collapse has got to stop now, and this will take the collaboration between you and the Lagos State Building Control Agency, LASBCA. So Lagosians, don't build on the drainage and along waterway. Don't build on the fence. Don't build under electricity high-tension cable. Lagosians' lives matter. Report any case of ongoing construction, distressed and non-conforming building in your area to LASBCA. Prevent building collapse. Save lives. Seek authorization from LASBCA before the commencement of your construction after obtaining your development permits. Lagos State Building Control Agency under the present administration is poised to reduce incidences of building collapse in line with the theme's agenda of making Lagos a 21st century economy. LASBCA, ensuring safe, secure and habitable buildings in the state.
In an effort to contain the menace of building collapse, the Lagos State Building Control Agency has identified and published 349 buildings found to be exhibiting various signs of distress across the state. According to the General Manager of the agency, Architect Bolahan Owodunioki, he said all the identified structures have signs which indicate that they might not be fit for human habitation. Some of those signs include cracks, spoiling, bugging, exposed reinforcement, sinking and tilting. The suspected distress structures were identified through a thorough monitoring exercise aimed at preventing collapse and its attendant effects, such as loss of lives and properties.
Welcome back. We advise you, do not panic. Do the right thing. Go to the LASBCA office near you or visit the LASBCA headquarters at GRA Ikeja on what to do. Joining us to talk about the 349 structures is the Director of Legal Services, Lagos State Building Control Agency. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
And so, we would like to dive right into it. Can you just introduce yourself to us?
My name is Adeolu Sunday Odugbemi. I'm a state counsel employed to the Lagos State Building Control Agency. I'm a deputy director and I head the legal unit of LASBCA.
Thank you once again for joining us, sir. Can you just tell us briefly the mandate of LASBCA?
Lagos State Building Control Agency is a creation of the Lagos State Urban and Regional Planning and Development Law as amended. The statutory function of the agency as contained in the law is to enforce the regulatory provisions of the building control regulations. Secondly, it is one of the statutory functions of the agency to identify illegal and non-conforming structures in the state. Number three, the agency has the responsibility of identifying distressed structures in the state and remove them to prevent building collapse.
Talking about identifying and removing the structures, identify distressed structures by LASBCA, I'm going to be asking you. Recently, the agency published a list of 349 structures that are suspected to be distressed or already showing signs of distress. Can you just tell us the rationale behind the publication?
Thank you very much. Building collapse is one menace that has to be confronted with every resources in Lagos State. The menace of building collapse has brought so much embarrassment to the government of the state, and to bring building collapse to 0 level, the agency took all actions to identify buildings that have exhibited various signs of distress in the state. Having identified them, in order to bring in a sense of fair hearing, the agency has published those structures that had identified signs of distress for owners to dispute the allegation that such structures are distressed. The way to dispute is to conduct non-destructive tests on those structures. And when you conduct non-destructive tests, a report will come out. Some come out with a report that the structure be re-engineered, renovated. Some, the reports will be that the structure is not fit for habitation. So it is expected that structures that are not fit for habitation should be removed in the interest of public safety. And so the publication was made so that structures that are not fit for habitation are removed, and those that are certified good for renovation by scientific proof, that's the test, those ones are made to go through the process of re-engineering, by which the owner is expected to bring methodology of re-engineering, and then the property is made safe, also in the interest of public safety.
Before the publication, the owners must have been served some notices. Now, can you tell us the notices that were served on the owners of those buildings?
Lagos State Building Control Agency is an agency that follows due process of law. By the provisions of the law, structures that are found to be distressed, or structures that are found to have exhibited signs of distress, are to be identified. Once they are identified, notices are served alleging that such structure is distressed. In that notice, we highlight the particulars of distress: differential settlement, exposed reinforcement, cracks on the wall, things that speaks for themselves, that when you get to that site, you meet those signs on that building. Then the owner is required to dispute. That is contravention notice. He is given 48 hours to dispute the veracity or dispute whether that structure is distressed or not. After 48 hours, a seal-up notice is served on that property, announcing to the owner that in 72 hours we are coming to seal up that structure because it has exhibited various signs of distress. After 48 hours, after 72 hours, we serve another notice referred to as quit notice, giving the occupants 7 days to vacate that property in the interest of public safety, after which a demolition notice is served. Now, on all these structures that were published, all the statutory enforcement notices have been duly served, and they've also been requested to conduct tests, some to conduct soil tests, some to conduct, not even soil tests now, to conduct foundation probe, to test. You know, sometimes the problem with a building may not be the superstructure. If it is the superstructure, you do what is called non-destructive test. But if it is the substructure, which is the foundation, then you are required to do foundation probe. So where structure is has exhibited signs of distress such as differential settlement, what we call tilting, we ask the owner to do what is called foundation probe for us to see if the foundation is still good enough to carry this building. So all these buildings that we published, we have served them all the notices. We expected the owners to do the needful. If they are not doing the needful, the agency will carry out the statutory responsibility.
Are you sure you are not also a structural engineer? Because you have truly spoken like one. Okay, going forward, sir, we want to know, the agency has said they are giving the owners 90 days, that's 3 months, to comply with the directives of the notice. So what happens if there is a critically distressed buildings amongst those ones? What happens to that building?
Buildings that has to be removed before that 90 days?
Exactly, sir.
Yes. In the interest of public safety, once the agency is satisfied that the structure is in a high risk of collapse, it will be removed in the interest of public safety. We've got to know that the interest of public safety override personal interest.
For those that fail to comply with the instructions of the publication, like carrying out the NDT, re-engineering, renovating, or even removing within the time frame, what happens to them?
When anybody is given an opportunity to respond or to do something, failure to do such thing by the law will be seen as delinquency on his side. The agency obviously has done what is expected of it by the law, to give them ample opportunity to remedy or remove the structure by themselves. Now, upon failure to do that, the agency will remove those structures in the interest of public safety, and the cost of removal will be recovered from them.
Now, moving away from the 349 buildings that have already been identified and published, I want to ask you, sir, sometimes we hear of cases whereby LASBCA officials are harassed, sometimes they are detained, sometimes they are assaulted and all that. How does LASBCA, or what does the law say about such cases?
Okay. It is a criminal act for anybody to obstruct public officers from performing their lawful duties. So, talk less of assaulting them. Obstructing them is on its own a breach of the law. It is an offense. We have so many people we are prosecuting for obstructing officers from performing their lawful duty. Some other people incite the public against public officers. They do so many crimes. So what we do at our end is, once we are found to have obstructed public officer, assaulted public officer from doing their lawful duty, you have to face the law. You'll be prosecuted. We have a number of them that we are prosecuting. People have to know that when you break the law, you have to face the law. So our people should know that officers of government are agents of government. And even if you think what they're doing is wrong, it is your duty to complain to the appropriate authority, not obstructing them or assaulting them. So anybody that assaults our officers will face the law. It's as simple as that.
So can you just tell us some of those penalties prescribed by the law for such offenses?
Okay. For instance, if anybody build without permit or without authorization, such a person is brought before the law and is made to pay fine. If anybody builds a property without insuring the property, is brought before the law, is made to pay fine. If anybody assaults our officers, is prison term. He has prison term subject to the discretion of the magistrate. Or anybody that assaults, anybody that obstructs officers from carrying out their duty will have to, once found guilty, will have to go behind the bars. For some, as many as 3 years, you obstruct officer subject to the discretion of the magistrate. You face the bar. You go behind the bar for it.
That's interesting to know. Sir, finally, what is your legal advice to members of the public?
Oh. My candid advice is for members of the public to build right. Comply with the regulatory provisions of the law. Ignorance is not an excuse. Do the right thing. Let's contribute to a befitting Lagos. Let's do our part. Let's conform with the planning permit obtained. Let's build along. Let's invite Lagos State Building Control Agency to conduct inspection and state certification so that we can have a strong building. And for structures that are old, structures that are distressed, let's ensure to maintain them. And where they are such that cannot be maintained, let's remove them so that our society will be a safe place too.
Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, sir. I must say that I have enjoyed this interview section, and I'm sure that our viewers have too. We've learned one or two things. We now know that it is seriously an offense for you to obstruct LASBCA officials while they carry out their duties. It's a serious crime which would attract up to 3 years imprisonment for that and other offenses. Thank you so much, Barrister Odugbemi. We look forward to having you in the studio some other time.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for good job you're doing.
Now to the next segment, which is the Director's Corner. Do you know the LASBCA has offices in all 20 local government areas and 37 local council development areas of the state? We will be chatting with one of the supervising directors in those districts, Engineer Bayo Uba. Will be chatting with us on the activities and sometimes challenges he faces in his district.
More than 22 million people live in Lagos, and that is no longer news. Projections suggest that this figure will continue to increase for some years to come, consequently in the next 20 to 30 years. There will be a large percentage of the entire global population living in cities.
Lagos is expected to make a large contribution to this number, as it is the most populous state in Nigeria and has the highest number of ongoing building construction in the country.
To this end, the structural stability of a building is increasingly important when planning building construction and infrastructural development. This is why the Lagos State Building Control Agency (LASBCA) was set up by the Lagos State Urban and Regional Planning and Development Law of 2010 to ensure that basic minimum standards are maintained in building construction and renovation. We oversee building control in all its ramifications. We grant approval to commence construction after you've obtained your development permit. We inspect and certify various stages of building construction.
We also issue the Certificate of Completion and Fitness for Habitation. We identify and remove distressed buildings and buildings that do not conform to the building codes and the regulations of the state. For more information, visit our website at www.labca.lagostate.gov.ng.
Are you ready to start your building construction? Do you have your development permit from LASBCA? Then you need to contact LASBCA for your authorization to commence construction. Obtain your authorization and green sticker, which indicates that the building is under LASBCA supervision. Invite us for inspection at every stage of your building construction from start to finish.
Once your building is complete and has satisfied all building codes of the state, you can now apply for the Certificate of Completion and Fitness for Habitation. Also, you can verify your certificate on our website. You can reach us at our head office, which is at Worksyard Road off Oba Akinjobi Way, Ikeja, GRA, or any of our district offices located at all local governments and LCDA across the state.
To find out where these are, please visit our website at www.labca.lagostate.gov.ng.
Build well,
build right, LASBCA cares.
The list of places I covered are embodied in those areas, and they go out on a daily basis. We operate with the use of statutory notices that are provided, of which we detail out whatever contraventions that we discover as we go out on a daily basis. We also will reach out to other duties in regards to state certification, monitoring for buildings that are aged and old, if any of them are distressed, and we also do a bit of ensuring that illegal structures are out of place. So we move around pretty much. It's unfortunately on the experience as a building control officer that I am and my colleagues, the conformance or compliance is poor. We do more of policing for compliance than actually doing the professional supervision of works, in the district. But it's getting better as our operations have been in top gear in the last year. We, first of all, serve notices to inform or allege contraveners on what they've contravened. Unfortunately, they do not respond. Most of the time, they do not respond. So we have to enforce, meaning that we go to those locations, sites, and not until most of them are sealed, that is when you begin to get responses of these builders, owners, developers, as the case may be. So most of the time, 95% of the time, we have to enforce and seal. In certain cases, we also actually have to make arrests and prosecute. I said I have 6 officers at the moment in covering all those areas. It will be a lot more penetrating if I have more officers. We're able to cover more areas. We're able also to cover in quicker time, because the turnaround is usually what this is about. And these contraveners, they don't sleep. They walk around the clock. So we also have to be upbeat on our toes to ensure that our turnaround times as we move around are as quick as possible. So we have more people, we will also obviously cover more areas and quicker. A myriad of challenges actually. A few of them burden on the fact that once in a while we have some of our officers harassed while on duty. Some of the time also we have situations where the professionals are not available on site, so you're not communicating. You're essentially communicating with quacks while you're talking to people in trying to find out, what they do and what they have, or the basis of which they are developing. We also have a bit of a challenge in that we deal mostly with buildings, and it's not until we get, really stiff and we begin to enforce that we have people, responding. So it's a daily job, of which you have to push hard until you get the desired result. Again, part of the challenges we have also borders on education of people on site. You know, a number of people actually do not understand, you know, the reasons they're on site. And so when you are communicating with them and you're talking to them, I think a bit more professional injection is what is being made now. You know, we're discussing the agency as a whole. The president of my general manager, the general manager of Lagos State Building Control Agency, Architect Bola Onwolowodunioki, is making effort and has been making sense in ensuring that professionals in the built industry, you know, are actively involved so that, you know, we can have safe buildings and habitable ones that we live in, that are constructed. We also would have situations where, you know, distressed buildings are properly taken care of, you know, so they're educated, you know, when they have these relationships going down, you know, the line. Also, the relationship the GM has made is with the developers, you know. At some points there have been, you know, town meetings, you know, strategic meetings, you know, and all of that he has actively related, you know, on the responsibilities that we all cover, because it's a joint responsibility to have a safe environment. Relaxation has been, I would say it's been embedded in the job, you know. During working hours, what we do essentially is that I take walks around. I have the LASBCA behind me. I'll take a walk around, you know, around my environment. I would also check on maybe one or two of my colleagues to see how far they are also pushing towards the end of the day and share notes. Over the weekends, we also work, quite interestingly, because we have to keep monitoring. These people work round the clock, you know. So we work, whether it's social events, whether it is, my family and I are monitoring officers just as well. So we move around and see each place just to check and ensure that things, you know, are okay and done properly. Yes, I try to also go to the gym once in a while. I eat healthy and just trying to also put everything in perspective. Well, I would say this, we're a brother's keeper. And I think this job of having a safe, habitable building, or habitable buildings, is not just a burden on LASBCA and a burden on Lagos State. I think it's a burden on all of us to ensure that, you know, we have each other's back. The agency is acceptable to whistleblowing, which is done. And I've had a couple of people that will call me anonymously, and those places we do attend to. We also have an opportunity where people can also write in anonymously to the agency, and we also attend to those. We also have a situation where, you know, we go somewhere and, you know, by the time we get back again, some level of progress has occurred. This is not done without the knowledge of neighbors. So we should work on this together. We'll put our hands together on the plow so that we come out with safe environments, because a bad structure or a collapse is bad for not just LASBCA and not just the state. It's also bad as a people, because it doesn't tell well, you know, on the environment. So I would say, you know, relate well with us. We're not the devil. We're not demons. We're here, and we also have family within you and friends and professional colleagues. We're here as an agency to ensure that everybody is safe, everybody is happy. The professionals, the builders, everybody does the right thing, and the building is built properly, you know, so that we all sleep well. So I would say it's a joint job, and God help us. God bless Lagos State. Build well, build right, and LASBCA cares.
Now you know how exhilarating and sometimes challenging the job of an SD is. The monitoring officers, a lot go into it every day to ensure that LASBCA keeps giving us safe and secure buildings in Lagos State. The opinion of everyone counts in this matter, and that is why right now we have Benny on the streets of Lagos, who is sampling the opinions of Lagosians on the identified 349 structures that are suspected to be distressed. Benny, over to you.
Today we are on the street of Lagos, sampling people's opinion concerning Lagos State Building Control Agency recently published buildings that are showing signs of distress, where owners and the developers were asked to conduct non-destructive tests to ascertain the structural stability of those buildings.
Yes, my name is Adewale Amusa. I live at Sulere. I think it's a very welcome idea. A lot of people have died in demolished home, building collapsing and things like that. I think it's a welcome idea. This might stop all these bad contractors that are just building houses anyhow in Lagos. I wish the government best of luck.
For many Matthew Olusoji, Lagos is trying nípa ọ̀rọ̀ ilé torí bí ilé ṣe ń wó náà tó ń pa àwọn èèyàn náà kò ó ṣe ohun tó ń bá wa nínú jẹ́ tó jẹ́ bánújẹ́ kọ fún wa ṣùgbọ́n tó bá lè máa bá wa mójútó àwọn ilé yẹn lé tó bá ti ṣe bí kò renovate kó bá renovate yẹ tó yẹ pé wíwó náà ní kọ́pọ̀ wọn tó ní property wọn kan wo kọ́ tún kọ́ torí gbogbo àwa Lagos is on try wọn fẹ́ kí wọ́n máa ṣòfò ẹ̀mí àwọn tó dẹ̀ nǹkan ló mọ̀ gbogbo tí ṣẹlẹ̀ yẹn ń ṣẹlẹ̀ sí kò sẹ́tún ni wọ́n ń dùn ẹlòmíì tí àǹtí kàlọ́ máa bá wálé tó bá débẹ̀ tó máa gba ilé tí ń ṣe kí ni ká ní kò sí problem wọ́n máa renovate wọ́n máa tún ṣe tó máa gbé bẹ̀ ilé yẹn máa collapse ó máa wó ṣùgbọ́n gbogbo nǹkan bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn tí Lagos bá lè bá wá nǹkan ṣe sí i gbogbo láti ẹ̀ nísì ó ṣẹlẹ̀ àtúbẹ̀kúrẹ̀ ṣẹlẹ̀ mọ́ ọlọ́dẹ̀gbà fún Lagos State láti lè bá wa ṣe àtúnṣe lórí gbogbo nǹkan bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn.
Amonika from Imo State. I've been living in this part of Lagos for so many years. I think with my own point of view, I didn't see anything wrong inside what you people are doing. The government is trying anyway. As far as Lagosians are part of, I'm living inside this Lagos. I think the step is okay. So you people should still go on and do, because we can't continue to be losing and losing innocent souls.
Òfin tó dáa níjọba gbélé yìí because bó ṣe wà ẹ́ mẹ́rin gbogbo tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ yìí náà pé ilé wo àwọn bí èèyàn bí mélòó kan wọ́n kú bẹ̀ so kò ṣe nǹkan tó ó dùn nú àwọn èèyàn so bọ̀ bó ṣe rí yín sí yìí ilé tó bá ti ṣe tẹ̀sí ẹ̀ tó bá rí pé ó nídìí àtúnṣe ni ohun tó wà òkè kan ṣàtúnṣe èyí tó bá nídìí pé kí gọ́ọ̀mẹ̀ntì wo kán túnṣe so ó wà òkè àdíà tó wà òkè ni.
My opinion concerning this MAC building, as the government take it so necessary, so very necessary and very important for those buildings to be tested, because when those buildings were initially built, there is no provision for material testing at that period. Most of those buildings that is being marked actually they are being dilapidated. They can collapse anytime. So to avoid recurrent death and recurrent structure collapsing in Lagos, government have taken a measure to prevent that. So it's a welcome development.
This is Benny reporting for LASBCA TV.
There you have it. Thank you, Benny, for bringing us in the studio here the opinions of Lagosians on the 349 distress structures. And that concludes the program for today. Please join us on another edition, but it doesn't stop there. You can contact us on our social media platforms currently running on the screen.